Welcome. Welcome and good evening. My name is Colette Carrion, President of the Baldwin Council of PTAs, and I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Baldwin Council of PTAs to our annual Candidates Forum. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. In the unlikely event of an emergency and we must exit the building, please do so by exiting through the rear doors and turning left and through the doors directly in front of me and to my left. As well, there's an exit door here. Once again, welcome. One of the purposes of council is to provide a forum for public information and debate by candidates for the Board of Education. The Baldwin Council of PTAs wishes to thank the candidates for their participation in tonight's event. And we hope that you, the voters, gain a better understanding of their qualifications and insight into the candidate's position on issues relating to the education of our children in the school district and in the community. By attending this forum indicates that you are concerned and actively engaged in the voting process and selection of our educational policy leaders. And I also urge you to exercise your right to vote on Tuesday, May 16th from 7 to 10 at the Baldwin High School. At this time, I will now turn over the program to our second VP of Legislation, Joanne Williams, and also thank her for coordinating this forum tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful to see you all. As Colette said, I'm Joanne Williams, VP of Legislation. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our moderator, Barbara Epstein.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for the PTA Council for allowing us to moderate this event. I'm Barbara Epstein. I'm from the League of Women Voters in Nassau County. I do not live in this district, so I don't know any of these people or know anything about what's going on in this community. So I figure you're going to enlighten me. Also, we have with us Mary Price, who's in the first row, who is our timekeeper also from out of the district, who will notify the candidates when it's time. There are 30 seconds and then for them to stop. These are the procedures for this tonight's candidates meeting that the candidates have agreed to. We've already drawn lots for the order in which they will be speaking. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes for an opening statement. After all candidates have spoken, I will open the meeting to oral questions from the audience. Please identify yourself when you get up to speak. Define each question to the issues in this campaign and take no more than 1 minute when asking a question. Remember, a question, not statements. Questions from the audience may be addressed to a specific individual or to the candidates in general, although all candidates will have the opportunity to answer the questions addressed to a specific individual. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to answer the question. There will be no rebuttal. I will alternate the order in which each of the candidates will be asking the questions. The candidates will then have 2 minutes for a closing statement and will speak in the same order as the opening statement. Okay, I've been told that in the back there are index cards, and we ask you to please take an index card and write your question on the card, and then we will ask the candidates the answers to those questions. Now, the order in which the candidates will speak will be as follows. Joan Kenyon Woods will be first. followed by Ashley Davis, and then Karen Reed. So we'll begin with Joan. The opening statements are 3 minutes.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you very much. My name is Joan Kenyon Woods, and I'm thrilled and thankful to be here tonight. I'm excited to see so many residents here to participate in this very important process of electing a new board member to the district. And I see some puzzled faces, and yes, this accent's from Brooklyn. So, yes, laugh, more laughter. I'd like to thank Dr. Kami, our superintendent, and the board for their service to our students and local community. Based on the meetings that I've attended, it's very clear to me that the leadership team is committed to their roles and responsibilities, and there are tremendous opportunities for growth and continued growth and progress. This is a very exciting time for our district, and I would be honored to be a part of the process. My goal tonight is to ensure that the community has a parent voice in all decision-making processes, and you can count on me to communicate, collaborate, and cooperate with you, community members. I recently attended the roadshow of the Board of Education, and I went to the Lennox meeting, the school my son graduated from. I was struck by the principal, Mrs. Acevedo's remarkable memory when she asked about my son Jared by name. He's now 22 years old. So it was truly an amazing and heartwarming moment to know that Mrs. Acevedo had taken such an interest in my child and remembered him nearly 16 years later. That's great, right? Yeah, I thought so too. When Jared graduated from Lennox, I decided to pursue a career in education. I saw firsthand how a nurturing, understanding, and compassionate person could serve as an effective advocate for those in need and enjoy the experience of bringing people together to meet those needs. I strongly believe in communication, collaboration, and cooperation as the pillars to success. I now work as a special education on the assessment team for the special education program as a school social worker after serving for 16 years as a classroom teacher. I think I should get a hand for that one, right? High school, no less. And I actually ran the gamut from 7th grade through 12th grade. So I understand all ages. I strongly believe in communication, collaboration, and cooperation. I believe the Baldwins are a wonderful community. And as Dr. Kami stated in the meeting I attended, we all come to the table with some concern. I believe that my experiences, commitment to inclusivity, and strong belief that every single child is entitled to a high-quality education are the reasons why I'm seeking your support this evening. Thank you. Vote Joan Woods, go Bruins.
All right, before I continue, please make sure your cell phones are off. Ashley?
Hi, my name is Ashley Davis. I'm an educator, student, and researcher, and I'm running for school board. I know what you're probably thinking. I'm not the typical school board candidate. I'm not a PTA member, and I don't have children attending school in our district. Some of you may even be wondering about my age. It's true, I'm not a PTA member or a parent, but who I am is a lifelong resident of Baldwin School District. Who I am is a graduate of Baldwin Schools. In the halls and classrooms of this district's schools, I learned skills and lessons that served me well in life. In Miss Henry's 3rd grade class at Brookside, I learned the research skills that I rely on as a doctoral student today. In Poetry Club at Baldwin Middle School with Mr. Baldy, I was able to practice creative and expressive writing skills I have continued to cultivate ever since. In AP Government and Politics, I remember Ms. Zucker
talking to us about the importance of community, the importance of being actively engaged in the things happening in our world. The first election in which I voted was the Baldwin School Board election, my senior year of high school. Ms. Zucker told all of us who were old enough to go down to the gym and vote. I remember feeling so proud. Perhaps these short stories give you an idea about how much Baldwin means to me. Studying outside of Baldwin and living and working in the world as a young adult has reinforced for me how fortunate I was to begin my educational career in Baldwin. I've learned alongside students from all over this country and all over the world, and I can tell you that Baldwin is special. I do believe, however, that we can do things as a community to continue to strengthen our schools. There are many Baldwin alumni living in and outside of the district who would love to be more connected with the district and informed about events. I believe I could provide useful ideas to the district as to how to strengthen alumni engagement and support. There are some alumni here tonight who are here because I asked them to be. Before I wrap up, there's one more story I would like to tell you. There's one lesson I learned in Baldwin that has been something I've had to remind myself of over and over in life. In 11th grade, I was too shy to ask my U.S. history teacher, Mr. Buglione, for a letter of recommendation, so I asked Lee, after many of my classmates had already asked. Mr. Buglione said he would write me a letter of recommendation, but only if I promised to never again be afraid to ask for what I need. Tonight, I am going to ask you for your vote. I am hopeful that after tonight's discussion, you will be confident enough to vote for me for Baldwin School Board.
Thank you. Karen?
Hi, everyone. Thanks all for coming out tonight. This evening, you received a packet with our resumes, which provides you with some basic background information about us: name, children, educational profile, job history, and why each of us is running for the board. So I'm not going to restate all of that you can read in this lovely resume. But what I would like to do before I go on is I want to give my husband a shout out because for some reason, nobody asked for that information. And I wouldn't be able to be here in front of you guys if it wasn't for his support. So I'm going to give him a shout out. He's looking, he's like, oh God, I can't believe she did that. So in addition to the information that's provided for you, I want you to know that education and working for children is a calling for me. When I was in 6th grade, I had this horrible math teacher, and the same math teacher in 8th grade. She refused to answer questions. When I had them, she would not help me. I decided right then I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to help kids. I then went into high school and we had this shadow opportunity so I got to be with the chemistry teacher and do a mock lesson there. I loved being in the front of the classroom working with students, which increased my desire to become a teacher. Then in my senior year of high school, I was elected to student council. This was a huge feat for me because in my freshman year, I wasn't elected. As a matter of fact, I was mocked unmercifully because my motto was, vote for me, Miss C. Mr. T was really big back then, and well, I thought I'd capitalize on it, but it didn't work out too well. But my senior year, I was elected to student council, and while on student council, one of my duties was to attend board meetings and report to the board about what was happening in my high school. So who knew that was kind of leading me to this point here. After a small hiccup in college, though, in 1993, I finished college, got my first teaching job. Like most teachers, I spent countless hours and money trying to make sure that I was the best teacher I could be. 20 plus years later, I received Facebook messages from some of my most troublesome students and students who were going through some troubles to thank me for being the teacher that I was, committed, dedicated, and putting them first. Why do I share this with you? We live in difficult times for public education. There's an assault on public education. Funding is being reduced. People are looking to privatize it, and it's not a good place to be right now. And so what I would like to do is to use my dedication, my commitment to education, to be an advocate for kids, to do what's right, to make sure they get the best things that they're supposed to get. And I hope by the end of this evening those of you who don't know me don't have a clear picture of who I am, where I stand on education, and why I'm so passionate about education and making sure our students are taken care of, you will leave with a clearer picture and understanding. Thank you for coming out and taking time to busy schedule to come out.
Just to let everyone know, you see there are 3 candidates. They're all looking to be one representative to your Board of Education. And by the way, just to let you know, we will be having questions for the next hour. Hopefully there are enough questions to get that time. But just to let everyone know, that's our time frame that we're working with this evening. All right, and the first question, and Karen, I'll start with you. And this is for everyone. Is there a particular issue that motivates you to serve on the Board of Education?
Children. It's not an issue, but it's what, for me, we need to make sure that we are producing productive members of society. And I want to be on Board of Education to make sure that the decisions that we make will further that, or make sure that we are successful in meeting that objective.
Ashley?
I would say the issue that most motivates me is just public education as an institution. Since I left Baldwin, I have worked in and around public education for about 10 years, so my whole school and working career. I think public schools are incredibly important. I think public schools serve as a very, very important aspect of strong and functioning communities. I work at a public institution. I have only ever attended public institutions. And so I believe that my experience as a student, as an educator, as a researcher, would allow me to bring expertise to the board to continue to strengthen our public schools here in Baldwin.
Aaron?
Thank you. So as the candidate who's standing on the pillars of communication, collaboration, and cooperation, I'm very interested in how we can collaborate with local universities, colleges, and the work environment to help our children transition to the next step. I think it's important in these times. I have 2 grown sons. They both graduated from Hofstra, that was me, Baldwin, and they're still home. So I think, and I see that our district is doing that right now. Baldwin is involved in the expanding and refining the career academy. And so I'm very interested in helping to move that along, where students will have a place to go, a job, a career, or something to look forward to when they leave high school, and if not college, then what? So let's look at what's next for all our children.
Thank you. This leads to this next question. What do you think are the 3 biggest issues facing the district over the next 3 years? John, we'll start with you.
And forgive me if I sound like a real politician here. My friend told me, make sure you always let them know, what you're standing on. So what is it? 3 C's. So collaboration. I think the biggest issues, one of the 3, is that Baldwin is a changing community. Our demographics are changing. I attended a board meeting the other day, and there was a study done on the demographics of Baldwin. I think as a community that's already inclusive, because we're one of the few who are very, very inclusive on Long Island, we need to continue in that mold. I think we have to address all the needs of all of our families, As we see today in our audience, it's diverse. And I would like that to continue. The diversity, the inclusion, the collaboration, and the cooperation.
Ashley?
So I would say that I think the top three issues facing the district would be declining enrollment, which is a trend that we are seeing across Long Island, increased implementation of technology, and college and career readiness. And I think increased implementation of technology and college and career readiness go hand in hand. I think that the work world and just the world at large looks very, very, very different than it did even when I began my career in Baldwin. A lot of the jobs that are available, or even the way that you go about getting a job, is based around technology. And so I think sending students out into the world with those skills from high school would be a worthwhile venture. And as somebody who is working in college classrooms, I see students who come from high school. I see what skills they have and what skills they don't have. And so I feel I would be able to offer expertise to the district in terms of what kinds of skills Baldwin students need to have as they exit our schools and enter the workforce.
I'm having a hard time coming up with three issues because sitting in this chair, I know that we are addressing college and career readiness. We have our academies. We are also working to collaborate with colleges and make sure that we have classes that are preparing our students, not just the AP classes, but we are in partnership with Syracuse. We offer some Syracuse classes. So the college and career readiness, we're working towards that. And we are working towards technology. So we're bringing in technology. The biggest issue that I know that faces Baldwin is always funding. We are a community that has a low commercial base, and so a lot of our funding of the schools are resting on the shoulders of taxpayers. And so what we have been trying to do is to provide a rich education so that we can be perceived as a thriving community. And those people who are responsible for bringing businesses in will bring more businesses in so that we can hopefully at some point shift the responsibility of funding our schools or lessen the burden of funding our schools from the taxpayers and kind of even that out. So on top of which we also have federal issues that are cutting funding the public schools. So trying to maintain what we have with less dollars is a big issue for Baldwin.
All right. What ideas you have to better engage residents without children to be involved in the schools where they pay taxes and feel sometimes taken for granted? Ashley?
So I think just in looking at the ways in which we are reaching the community, looking at the ways in which we are communicating with the community, I can say as someone who lives in Baldwin but does not have a child in any of the schools, that sometimes you are just a little bit disconnected from the things that are going on, the plays and the concerts, fundraising activities that the district may be offering. And so I think, again, technology offers us the possibility of reaching and communicating with and incorporating more of our community. And I think that what we know about public education is that the more the community is involved in the schools, the stronger the schools are. And so I think that all of our residents should have opportunities to be aware of what goes on in Baldwin, to voice their opinion about what goes on in Baldwin, and to have opportunities to interact within the schools in Baldwin.
Karen?
So currently, it's an interesting question to ask what we could do to reach community members who don't have children in the district. We have a Baldwin Beat that goes out, I want to say quarterly, and then we also have a special edition that comes out, two special editions, one that talks about where our students are going and the different different things that they've succeeded in over the course of the year. We also have a budget beat that that goes out to the residents that talk about the budget. We just recently launched a new website, and we had several postcards go out to try to get community members to join or to sign up for to sign up for the website so that they can get push notifications on what is happening on different events. We're always talking about how we can reach community members. This is an ongoing conversation, but that's what we've been doing so far, and we welcome suggestions.
Part of reaching out to the community includes collaborating with the organizations that they work with or are part of. In order to get on the ballot, we had to secure signatures for those of you interested. And, I went door to door and met many people who did not have children in the school district. And they asked me, what's going to happen? And, recently the board and the district had a community forum or program where they had all of the programs that are accessible and available in Baldwin at the high school. And a friend of mine attended. I wasn't able to go, but at the meeting, I heard all about all the things that we've had and all the things that are coming. And I became a member or decided to run on this ballot because a friend of mine encouraged me to do that. So I think if we reach out to people that we know, our neighbors, and, I just went around my neighborhood, my neighbors, and spoke to them. And many of them like, because I no longer have children in the community, they still live here, they're still a part of it. We need to communicate with them and collaborate with them where they are. So civic organizations, as Karen mentioned, the beat, we all get that. And, have something where they can come out and be a part of the school district. My friend is here tonight who encouraged me to run, so it's very nice. If she hadn't said something to me, who knows? So talk to people. You're involved, talk to as many people as you know, as you have access to, and encourage them, because if this could happen, you could be running for the school board. So.
Next question. What are your thoughts about class sizes in public schools? Aaron?
As a person who's a former educator, I'm always wishful for smaller class sizes. I mean, you can do a lot with less children in the class. But I also know that sometimes there are things that you can do if you have larger class sizes to kind of make it feel like it's a smaller class size. So while ideally you would like to have a smaller class size, sometimes that's not a possibility. So what you can try to do is reallocate your resources to give, I don't want to say the illusion of, but give the feel of having a smaller class size. I know here that's been an issue and people have expressed those concerns. And as a member of the board and working with the administrative team, we have reallocate our resources for, like, our reading teachers go in and they're doing co-teaching models where now instead of having a class size of 1 to 25, now you have a per pupil ratio of 1 to 12 or 13. So, like I said, ideally it's not where we would like to be, but we're doing what we can to make it be, to get to that.
Ashley?
So at the last school board meeting I attended, the issue of class size was an issue that was expressed by a parent who also attended the meeting. And it was mentioned that in the classes that are larger than the district would like, or too large, that the district works hard, the administration works hard to make sure that there is a teaching assistant in those classes, and it was mentioned that all of the teaching assistants in the district, with the exception of one person, are certified teachers. And so I think that that is a positive step, a positive action to addressing class size. I think the most important thing about class size is to talk to parents and to make sure parents feel comfortable. I think as a parent, it must be a bit unsettling to see your child, especially a young learner in elementary school, be in a class that is a little bit large. And so I think just having transparency, as much communication with parents as possible, and especially in instances where a class might have to be broken up a little bit later in the year, to just make sure that parents are involved and feel involved and included in that conversation and that process.
As with Karen, as an educator, continuing, a teacher, and now a social worker on the special education committee, part of what happens with children and class size is that if you have a child who has a special need, a learning disability, a medical concern, and so on, they can be put in a smaller class where their needs are met with, as Karen said, the ICT or in integrated co-teaching, where they have a special educator and a general education teacher. They can also be pulled out or related services sent in to assist your child. So it's possible then, as we move on in Baldwin and through the education system, that each child's need is being met. And I know that this district especially is working collaboratively with parents and with the educators and teachers to make sure we hire and bring on those educators who are needed, necessary, and required in our district. And that will help the class sizes.
It's a little lengthy, but I think that the topic is certainly very applicable to what's going on today. Technology has become imperative in the present and for the future. The budget passed to include one STEM teacher to be shared by all the elementary schools. How do you envision this having an impact on an elementary student? And how do you feel about incorporating technology into the special location for the week? Okay, let's talk about technology. We're talking about STEM teacher and how it's shared and how you envision the technology for the elementary school students, and how would you envision using technology? I understand there's a STEM teacher now, but how would you envision the use of technology in the elementary schools?
You need to work on technology with this microphone. So, funny story, quick story. I was at my girlfriend's house a couple weeks ago. Her 2-year-old is sitting in the high chair with the little phone and eating his food, and he's just zipping across watching his little fireman show. He was totally engaged in it, and he wasn't paying me or his mom any mind. As we all know, technology is here to stay. At one point, it was the thought that it's a passing phase. It's not. It's here to stay. I know that we have done some things in the district. We've made purchases. Each building has elementary building has 2 carts of tablets. I'm not sure what the middle school has. I know the high school has several labs and tablets as well. We also have invested in professional development for teachers so that they can feel more comfortable instructing students with technology. The STEAM teacher that we've hired to go through the elementary buildings, it's an effort to again, have someone on site who can work with the teachers
to kind of help them to feel more comfortable with how they can implement lessons that utilize technology. Well, as we all know, technology is second nature to our children now. I have three, they have three laptops. I have mine, you know, my husband, he's getting there. Um, and, you know, as I spoke about before, in working with special populations, some students are given assistive technology if they need it. A child who's unable to, you know, attend in the classroom is now in many places given a laptop to work with in the classroom with schoolwork. You know, they're not playing games. We have to check and make sure though, right? I think it's really important, and I like that our district is taking that step. STEM teachers, the ones who are in charge of technology and the education of not only our students, but the teachers in using these technology. I knew that in my school, when it first became popular to have a smart board in each class, I didn't feel as smart as many of my students. And then they were like, well, miss, you know, tell us how to do this, that, and whatever. And I was asking them. So again, as part of the collaboration person, it works well if you work well with the children, collaborate with them. Don't see it as a negative, it's a positive. It is here to stay. We should become more proficient. I know I am and working on that. And it's just an addition to what we can do in the classroom. So, you know, embrace it, our district's embracing it, and I laud them for doing that.
Ashley?
So in part of my work, I teach teachers. I teach college students who are in teacher education programs at Queens College. And one of the courses that I have taught is a course about incorporating technology into instruction. And I actually taught that class to primarily physical education and art majors, two areas where I think you might not automatically think that technology could be used meaningfully. I also, in my professional life, am an early childhood teacher. And I can say that while young children are very familiar with technology, I think for its entertainment purposes, they are not so often familiar with how technology can be used as an incredibly meaningful learning tool. Technology has allowed us to solve problems in ways we have never been able to before. And so I think part of their learning, the utility of technology in research, in answering questions, in finding answers, in solving problems, in analyzing problems, will come from their teachers. And so I think it's important to support elementary school teachers in implementing technology in the classroom in meaningful ways. Because sometimes when technology is implemented and in a non-optimal way, then it can actually confuse young learners a little bit.
Thank you. What do you feel that the school district's greatest weakness is, and what is your plan to correct it? Ashley?
So I think one of the greatest weaknesses right now is I think Baldwin is not capitalizing on all of the things that alumni could bring to the district. There are a lot of us who still live here, but there are also a lot of us who are working very close by in New York City who could potentially be people who could offer internship opportunities to students. College advice to students. Students may be looking to attend some of the same universities we attended. And I know that many of us would be more than happy to offer advice, to offer support, fundraising support, and support in terms of internship opportunities. And so I think as a person who is connected, very connected to a lot of Baldwin alumni, that I could help bridge that connection gap between alumni and the district. And I think that that would go a long way to just strengthening our community and making our schools a lot better.
Karen?
Our greatest weakness. We're not supposed to admit to that, are we? I think one of the things that as an individual sitting on the board, I won't say this from a board member's perspective, but as a person and a community member, it's community involvement. We're having a difficult time getting our community members involved with the things that we're doing in the school. And our communication, I think. I mean, I said two now. I wasn't supposed to even admit to one. It's been very difficult trying to reach community members who do not have students in the district. And so we are doing a lot of great things, but we're having difficulty getting that message out. We're making some efforts, working with some different entities to help us with that. But I think we have a lot going on, and there's a lot of positive things happening in Baldwin. And we are, that, if I had to pick one, it would be getting the word out about what great things that are happening in Baldwin.
I don't think it's such a weakness, but a difficulty, a bit of a handicap, not having the businesses around us to help us with the funding. You know, I live in Baldwin as well. I pay the high taxes, but you know, I don't want our district to lose its focus, its direction, and its ability to provide the wonderful education that it does in lieu of, you know, not having the funding. So I think it's difficult on many of us residents that funding is an issue for us. You know, I've spoken to a couple of people, and it's a hot topic. I'm sure many of you will have questions about that when we break, yes? So it's a difficulty for us that we don't have the businesses to support what we want to do in our community. But, you know, I think continuing to collaborate, communicate, and cooperate with the board will help us to, you know, move forward from that. And, you know, reaching out to members of the community who don't have children in the school, like myself now. My children have graduated, but I still want to be involved because I do believe in what we're doing in Baldwin. And so, again, sharing that information with your neighbors, with your friends, with those who are no longer, you know, as involved, I think is really important. And so, you know, reach out and collaborate with people.
Looking at it from the flip side, okay? Continue and improve the good educational programs in Baldwin. What recommendations would you make as a board member?
Well, again, continue to be committed to the programs that we do have. I think improvement comes with continuing the programs that we have and making them stronger. As we talked about a while ago, the STEM program, introducing technology. I think having more of that come in as we move along. The academy program, where, you know, there is a place for every child to succeed, is important. I think it's important to collaborate with our members in the community in order to find out, you know, where they are, what is it that they want to see. So being involved and having a listening ear and making your voice heard about what you want for your child. As I mentioned before, with being part of the special education program now, I get it, I understand that there are families and children who need our help. And, you know, I went to one of the meetings, the Board of Ed, where we talked about kids who are doing well and AP courses and so on. But there is a whole gamut of students and population who need help at the other end. The bell curve is like this, and most people are at these ends, not in the middle. Or in the middle, not at the ends where it's great or lesser, but they're in the middle. And that middle is what we need to address. You know, all the students and families who need our help and assistance.
Ashley?
And so what I do as part of my work as a doctoral student, as a researcher, is spend a lot of time having conversations about what we call best practice, about the things that happen in schools and classrooms that lead to the best outcomes for learners. And so as a member of the board, I think that when discussions arise about pedagogy, about practice, about curriculum, about policy, that I would be able to meaningfully contribute to that discussion by asking the important questions, by asking the questions that need to be asked to ensure that we are doing and continuing to do the things that will best benefit Baldwin students. I think another area that would really strengthen our district would be greater involvement and especially greater alumni involvement. I know that there are some things going around on social media, the hashtag in a Baldwin Minute, the Baldwin handle on Twitter. I think that those things can continue to be improved. Social media is, you know, the world that I've grown up in. And so I think that we can really use social media to reach a lot of people in the community. And I think I have some great ideas for that, for the incorporation of technology and that aspect of what we are trying to do. You know, we all sat up here and kind of expressed the idea that more community involvement would be beneficial. And I think that I have a lot of ideas that I could contribute to the board as to how to make that possible.
Aaron?
So, I think I'm going to probably repeat what the other two have said. Basically, as a board member, our job is to set policy and to be oversight of over the fiscal responsibilities. The superintendent and her team comes to us with things that they would like to accomplish, ideas, where we need to move the district. So in collaboration with the superintendent and the board, my board colleagues, I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. I would continue to work with the team to move us forward in what we would need to do to improve our school district.
Are going along with the same area, but slightly different. What do you think is the biggest challenge the school board's going to face in the next year and coming years? Aaron?
I would say, and I think I said this earlier, that I think across the nation, funding is an issue. And with certain things coming down from the federal government, that's going to impact us at the state level, which then will impact the school boards and having to make very difficult decisions. Less money, then we may have to make very difficult decisions about things that we love and we want to keep. So I would say, to answer the question, I would think that funding is still a big issue.
Thank you. Joe?
Sorry. I agree. I think funding is going to be a challenge for us in Baldwin. And also, I think collaboration with our changing demographics and parents in order to bring them into the school district and the school community. I think it's important when we look at who we are in Baldwin and who we're becoming, that we continue to reach out to collaborate, cooperate, and communicate with everyone. And so everyone has a buy-in, feel important, feel a part of the district, and we're all paying those high taxes, and everyone wants to know that it's benefiting their child. I'm here, my children have graduated from Baldwin, but I'm still involved, I still live here. And so you still want it to continue to be a successful, excellent district, which it is. And so our challenge is to inform and communicate to our population, our residents, that it's all, worth it, that we want to continue the high standards, and that's a challenge, and it always is. And so that your taxes, the funding, we have to still stay committed to it in whatever way we can. And so I think, yes, funding is a really big one, and also collaborating with and cooperating with our residents. Ashley?
I think the challenge for any school board, the challenge for any school district is finding ways, continuing to find ways, innovative ways to provide high quality educational experiences to learners with the resources that you have available. And I think that that's a challenge for the board. It will be. I think it probably always is. And I think that given that challenge, because I am so closely connected to things that are being done that are new and innovative and are continuing to push education forward, that I would be a very useful member of the board, that I would be able to make suggestions, raise ideas, challenge ideas in a way that other board members may not be able to be. I also think that, again, we really need to, in connection to quality, that we really need to find ways to continue to engage the community, to get the word out there about the very good things that are going on in Baldwin, the very good things that have kept Baldwin as a district where students continue to do so well. And I think that I have a lot of ideas as to how that can be done as well. And I think I would be able to help the board with these challenges.
Thank you. Getting our children to or from school safely is every parent's concern. And in student busing, all students continues to be a challenge. What's your view relating to busing here in Baldwin? Ashley?
And so I think busing in Baldwin is very important, especially in terms of the way in which it helps children get to school safely. I think that we need to, of course, try to provide safe ways for children to get to school. I think that's something that we need to continue to work with, continue to protect. I know that for myself, I live north, and I was bused to the middle school, and that was important, and that made it easy for me to get there. And so I think we need to obviously keep busing in Baldwin for as many students as possible, and I would be willing to work with the board to continue to find ways that that can be possible.
Thank you. Karen?
So my view everybody in this room would agree that getting kids to school safely is like in the top 3, I would say, in terms of concerns. Unfortunately, I know that a few years back we had to make some cuts to busing for budgetary reasons. It was a painful decision to have to make. A lot of residents were impacted by it. It's not something that we on the board were happy about. I do know in the last 2 years, we have looked